You're scrolling through Instagram, a friend's wedding photos, a colleague's promotion announcement, someone's beach vacation. Everyone's smiling, everyone's thriving, everyone's fine. And then you see the news. The person who was always laughing at parties, gone. The successful entrepreneur who seemed to have it all, lost to suicide. The friend who texted you a funny meme just yesterday, gone without warning. You stare at your screen, frozen. How? There were no signs. They were fine. They were doing great. But here's what most people don't know. In America alone, we lose 95 people to this silent crisis every single day. That's one person every 15 minutes. Over 1,045 attempts happen daily. And the number of people silently thinking about it, immeasurably higher. Now, let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. Do you have these 5 patterns? 1. You give endlessly to others, but you can't receive. Compliments make you flinch. Help feels like debt. 2. You listen to everyone's problems, but you never share yours. You're the therapist of your friend group, but nobody knows what's actually happening inside you. 3. You're successful on paper, good job, nice apartment, healthy body, but inside, you feel empty, like you're performing a role in a play you didn't audition for. 4. You disappear periodically. Not physically, but psychologically. You go into hermit mode for days or weeks. You don't respond to texts. You cancel plans. You need to be alone, but you don't know why. 5. You only feel alive when you're drinking, or high, or in some altered state. Sobriety feels unbearable because being alone with your thoughts is torture. If you recognized yourself in even 3 of these patterns, I need you to keep watching. Because today I'm going to tell you about someone who had all 5. Her name was Robin. She was 32 years old, beautiful, successful, loved by everyone who knew her. She had an MBA from UCLA, a great career, a gorgeous apartment, a body she worked hard to maintain, friends who adored her, and one Tuesday morning, Robin was gone. This time, she wouldn't come back. Her friends were devastated, confused, angry. How did we miss the signs? But here's the thing. Robin didn't show signs, at least not the ones we've been taught to look for. Today, we're going to understand why. And if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you need to. Let me paint you a picture of who Robin was. From the outside, she was extraordinary. She graduated with honors, built a successful career in marketing, had a circle of close friends who genuinely cared about her. She was the person you'd call when you needed advice, the one who remembered your birthday, the one who showed up when you were going through a breakup or a family crisis. She took care of her body, yoga 3 times a week, meal prep on Sundays. She read books, she traveled. Her Instagram looked like a lifestyle magazine, carefully curated aesthetics, inspirational quotes, photos from rooftop bars with friends. If you met Robin at a party, you'd leave thinking, she has it all together. You probably wish you were more like her. But here's what you wouldn't see. You wouldn't notice that Robin rarely talked about herself. You'd share your problems, and she'd give brilliant advice. But if you asked about her, I'm fine, just busy with work. The conversation would shift before you could dig deeper. You wouldn't know that she never asked for help, not once. Not when she was drowning in a work project. Not when she was having panic attacks at 3 a.m. Not when she felt so alone she could barely breathe. You wouldn't realize that she disappeared for weeks at a time. She'd go silent on group chats, ignore calls, cancel plans with vague excuses. Just need some alone time, she'd say. And because she always came back eventually, no one worried too much. And you definitely wouldn't know that Robin only felt real when she was drinking. On a Saturday night, 3 days before she died, Robin was at a friend's birthday party. She looked stunning. She laughed at jokes. She danced. She posed for photos that would later haunt everyone who saw them. One friend would later say, "She seemed so happy that night. We were all having so much fun." At one point, someone asked her, "How are you really doing?" It was a genuine question, asked with concern. Robin smiled, that bright, disarming smile. I'm good, really good. Work's been crazy, but I'm managing. Are you sure? You seem a bit distant lately. I'm fine, Robin insisted. Just tired, you know how it is. The friend nodded, dropped it, didn't push. Because Robin seemed fine, she looked fine. She was smiling after all, but fine is a mask too. Let me tell you what fine actually meant for Robin. Fine meant waking up every morning with a weight on her chest so heavy she had to force herself to breathe. Fine meant going through the motions, shower, coffee, commute, work, smile, repeat, while feeling absolutely nothing inside. Fine meant coming home to an empty apartment and staring at the wall for hours, too exhausted to even turn on the TV. Fine meant that the only time she felt anything resembling aliveness was when she had 3 glasses of wine in her system. Only then could she relax. Only then could she laugh without it feeling performative. Only then could she exist without the constant background noise of something is wrong with me. But here's what nobody understood. Robin wasn't depressed in the way we recognize depression. She didn't cry all the time. She didn't talk about wanting to die. She didn't stop showering or lose her job. She didn't fit the narrative we've been taught about people in crisis. Instead, she was what researchers call high-functioning and disconnected. She kept all her appointments. She maintained her friendships on the surface. She succeeded at work. She looked put together. But underneath, she was disappearing. Every time she went into hermit mode, she was practicing disconnection. Every time she smiled through pain, she was reinforcing the belief that her real feelings didn't matter. Every time she gave to others but couldn't receive, she was confirming that she wasn't worthy of care. And the most dangerous part, nobody noticed. Because Robin had learned very early in life how to be invisible while standing right in front of you, she learned how to give you everything you needed from her while keeping the real her locked away where no one, not even she herself, could reach it. Looking back, Robin's friends could see the patterns, but only in hindsight, the way she never let anyone visit her apartment. It's a mess, she'd say, even though it was immaculate. The truth, she couldn't let anyone into her space because it felt too intimate, too revealing, the way she always deflected compliments. Oh, this old thing? I just got lucky. Anyone could have done it? She genuinely couldn't accept that she was valuable. The way she only showed up to social events when there would be alcohol. Sober hangouts, she'd cancel. But wine nights, rooftop bars, she'd be there. The way she had depth, you could feel it, but she never let you access it. Conversations would get close to real, and then she'd crack a joke, change the subject, build the wall back up. You could know Robin for 10 years and never really know her at all. Tuesday morning, Robin didn't show up to work. Unusual, but not alarming. She'd been working remotely more lately anyway. By afternoon, her boss called, no answer. A friend texted, nothing. Another friend tried, silence. By evening, someone went to check on her. That's when they learned Robin was gone. But the questions, they were just beginning. Why? She had everything. A good career, people who loved her, a future full of possibility. Why would someone like Robin see no other way out? How? There were no signs, no goodbye letter, no dramatic decline. She was at a party 3 days ago, smiling, laughing. How does someone go from that to this? What did we miss? Her friends tortured themselves with this question. Every conversation replayed, every cancelled plan analysed alone, every I'm fine dissected. What could they have done differently? But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You didn't miss anything. Robin didn't show you signs because she learned a long time ago that her pain didn't matter, that her needs were a burden, that the only way to be loved was to be helpful, cheerful, low maintenance. Robin lost her life not because she was weak or selfish or didn't understand how much people cared about her. She lost her life because she was completely, utterly disconnected from her own inner world. She had built such a perfect fortress around her real self that even she couldn't get in anymore. And when the pain became unbearable, when the emptiness grew too vast, when the exhaustion of performing fine became too much. She saw only one way out. Now, you might be asking, how does this happen? How does someone like Robin, successful, loved, seemingly stable, end up here? And that's the question we need to answer, because somewhere, right now, there's another Robin. Maybe it's your coworker who's always cheerful but never talks about themselves. Maybe it's your friend who gives incredible advice but never asks for help. Maybe it's your sibling who seems to have it all together but disappears for weeks at a time. Or maybe, and I need you to consider this carefully, maybe it's you. Maybe you're reading Robin's story and feeling a cold recognition in your chest. Maybe you're realizing that you've been performing fine for so long you've forgotten what real feels like. If that's you, please keep watching, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see your entire life. Here's the real story behind what happened, and it's not what you think. It wasn't a mental illness, though the doctors would have called it depression if they'd had the chance to diagnose her. It wasn't a tragic event, though they would have looked for one to make sense of it. It wasn't a chemical imbalance, though that's what the articles about suicide prevention would focus on. What killed Robin was something much quieter, much more insidious, something that doesn't make headlines because it's too common, too normalized, too invisible emotional neglect. Not the kind with bruises, not the kind with screaming or violence or obvious abuse. The subtle kind, the kind that happens in good families, the kind that looks like nothing from the outside. Let me take you back. You're 7 years old, you come home from school excited to tell your parent about something that happened, but they're busy, stressed, distracted. They don't have time for your story. Not now, honey. Mommy's got a headache. You try again another day. Same response. Or maybe they listen for 5 seconds, then interrupt with something about themselves. Or maybe they invalidate what you're feeling. That's not a big deal. You're being dramatic. You learn, my feelings don't matter. My experiences aren't important. I'm being too much. Now you're 12, you're struggling with something at school, bullying maybe, or academic pressure, or social anxiety. You try to tell your parent. They say, just ignore them, or you're smart, you'll figure it out, or other kids have it worse. You learn. My problems are a burden, I should handle things on my own. Asking for help is weak. You're 16 now, you're depressed, you don't have the words for it yet, but everything feels heavy and hopeless. Your parent notices you're quiet. What's wrong with you lately? You're so moody. You learn. My emotions are wrong, I need to hide them. Performing happiness is safer than being honest. This is what psychologists call emotional neglect. And it's not about what happened to you, it's about what didn't happen. You weren't beaten, so you think you weren't abused. You weren't abandoned, so you think you were loved. You had food, shelter, maybe even private schools and nice vacations. How could you complain? But love isn't just the presence of material care. Love is being seen, being heard, being validated, being taught that your inner world matters. Emotional neglect is growing up in a house where your feelings were invisible, where you learned to be whatever others needed you to be, where authentic emotional expression was met with dismissal, irritation, or worse, complete indifference. And here's the devastating part. You become an expert at neglecting yourself. You learn to override your own needs so automatically you don't even know you're doing it. You can sense what everyone else needs. It's like a superpower. But ask you what you need, blank, nothing. I'm fine. You become the most reliable friend, the most helpful colleague, the most low-maintenance partner. Everyone loves you because you never ask for anything. You're so easy to be around, but inside, you're disappearing. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is what happened to Robin. Her unconscious belief, formed in childhood, reinforced every day, was, I am only valuable when I'm useful. My authentic self is unlovable. My needs are a burden. She never chose to believe this. She learned it before she had the cognitive ability to question it. And by the time she was an adult, it was so deeply embedded she couldn't see it anymore. It was her reality. So what does this look like in adulthood? You become someone who can't receive. Compliments feel fake. Gifts make you uncomfortable. When someone tries to help you, you feel guilty, anxious, like you owe them now because deep down, you believe you're not worthy of receiving unless you've earned it by giving more. You become a chronic overfunctioner at work, in relationships, in friendships. You're always doing more than your share. Not because you're naturally generous, but because your nervous system tells you that your value is conditional. If you stop being useful, you'll be abandoned. You become emotionally unavailable while appearing totally open. You'll listen to everyone's problems for hours. You'll give advice. You'll show up when they need you. But the moment someone asks about you, walls up, subject changed. I'm fine. Let's talk about you. You become addicted to anything that quiets your mind. Alcohol, work, exercise, relationships, scrolling, anything to avoid the silence where you'd have to face the emptiness inside. And most tragically, you become disconnected from your own pain. You don't even know you're suffering because you've been numbing it for so long. People say, just tell someone how you feel, but you literally don't know what you feel. You've spent so many years focused on everyone else's emotions that yours have become this incomprehensible fog. So when someone asks, are you okay? You automatically say, I'm fine. Not because you're lying, but because you genuinely believe you are. You've mistaken survival for living. You've confused numbness for peace. You've assumed that because you're functioning, you're okay. And then one day the facade cracks, the weight becomes unbearable. And you realize you've been dying slowly for years. This was Robin. Let me show you exactly how emotional neglect can become fatal without intervention. Stage 1, childhood adaptation. You're a child in an emotionally neglectful environment. Your parents aren't cruel. They're just absent, distracted, overwhelmed, emotionally unavailable. Maybe they had their own trauma. Maybe they were depressed. Maybe they were just raised the same way. You learn quickly, the way to survive in this house is to not make waves. Don't be too much. Don't need too much. Don't feel too much. So you become the good child, the easy one. You smile, you perform, you make yourself small. Your emotional needs don't disappear. They just go underground. You stop expressing them. Eventually you stop recognizing them altogether. Stage 2, adolescent reinforcement. You're a teenager now. Your friends are dramatic, emotional, messy. You're the stable one, the mature one, the one who has it together. People start relying on you. You like this. It feels good to be needed. It feels safe to focus on others instead of yourself. You become the therapist friend, the advice giver, the problem solver. You learn that your value comes from what you provide, not who you are. Meanwhile, your own struggles remain invisible. You don't tell anyone about the panic attacks, the emptiness, the voice that whispers you're fundamentally unlovable. Because if you did, you'd lose your role, your identity, your sense of worth. Stage 3, adult perfection. You're an adult now, and you've perfected the art of appearing fine. You have a good career because achievement is the only way you know how to feel valuable. You have friends because you've learned to be exactly what they need. You look healthy because your body is one of the few things you can control. From the outside, you're crushing it. From the inside, you're hollow. You date people who need fixing because it's the only kind of relationship that feels familiar. Partners who are emotionally available? They scare you. Intimacy requires vulnerability, and you've never learned how to be vulnerable without feeling like you're about to die. You work obsessively because stopping means thinking, and thinking means feeling, and feeling is what you've spent your entire life avoiding. You go into hermit mode regularly because the exhaustion of performing normalcy becomes too much. You need to retreat, to drop the mask, to just exist without having to be anything for anyone. But even in hermit mode, you're not resting. You're just alone with the void you've been running from. Stage 4, the breaking point. This can go on for years, decades even. You might live your entire life like this, but sometimes something shifts. Maybe it's a breakup, a failure at work, a health scare, a birthday that makes you realize you've been alive for 30-some years, but you've never actually lived. Maybe it's nothing at all. Just a random Tuesday when the weight of performing suddenly becomes unbearable. And in that moment, you look at your life and realize, I have everything I'm supposed to want, but I feel nothing. I am nothing. The disconnection becomes so complete that ending it all doesn't feel like loss. It feels like the only escape, like finally being allowed to stop performing, to stop trying, to stop existing in a world where you've never felt you belonged. And because you've spent your entire life making sure nobody sees your pain, nobody knows, nobody can save you, because you've disappeared long before your body does. This is what emotional neglect does. It doesn't destroy you quickly, it erodes you slowly, invisibly from the inside out. But it can be stopped, it can be healed. And that's what this video is about: recognition and prevention. Without awareness, the person everyone thought was fine can be lost. If you've made it this far in this video, I want to acknowledge something. This is heavy, this is painful, and if you recognized yourself in Robin's story, you might be feeling a lot right now. Fear, sadness, anger, maybe even relief that someone finally put words to what you've been experiencing. I want you to know you didn't deserve what happened to you. You were a child who needed to be seen, heard, and valued. You needed adults who could hold space for your emotions without making them about themselves. You needed permission to be messy, complicated, human, and you didn't get that, not because you were unworthy, but because the adults around you were struggling with their own wounds. Because emotional neglect is generational. Because most parents are just doing their best with the tools they were given. But here's what's important. Understanding why it happened doesn't erase the impact. Your pain is real. Your loneliness is real. The years you spent feeling invisible are real. And I need to be honest with you about something else. There's no quick fix for this. I'm not going to tell you that journaling for 10 minutes a day will heal decades of emotional neglect. I'm not going to promise that if you just think positive or practice gratitude, everything will magically get better. Healing from emotional neglect is hard work. It's messy. It's painful. It means going back to that child who learned to make themselves small and teaching you that you're allowed to take up space. But here's the truth that Robin never got to discover. It's possible. You can learn to recognize your own emotions. You can learn to ask for help. You can learn that your needs matter and that people can love you for who you are, not just what you provide. You can heal. So where do you start? First, you name it. You've already taken this step by watching this video. You've recognized the pattern. You've named the thing that's been following you your whole life. Emotional neglect. The absence of emotional attunement, the invisible wound. This is huge. Most people never get here. They spend their whole lives feeling wrong, feeling broken, never understanding why. You know now. That's step one. Second, you grieve. This is the part nobody talks about. When you realize you were emotionally neglected, you have to grieve the childhood you didn't have, the parent who couldn't see you, the years you spent believing you were too much or not enough. You have to let yourself feel the anger, the sadness, the betrayal, not to punish anyone, but to honor the truth of your experience. You didn't get what you needed. That's a loss, and losses need to be grieved. Third, you learn that asking for help isn't weakness. This one's going to feel impossible at first. Your entire nervous system has been wired to believe that needing support makes you a burden. But here's what you need to understand. The voice that says, don't ask for help, isn't protecting you. It's the voice of the neglect, trying to keep you small and invisible. Real strength isn't handling everything alone. Real strength is recognizing when you need support and having the courage to reach out. Start small. Tell one person one true thing about how you're feeling. Not, I'm fine. Something real. It will feel terrifying. Do it anyway. Fourth, you reconnect with your inner child, That child who learned to hide their feelings, they're still inside you, still waiting to be seen. You need to go back for them, ask them, what did you need that you didn't get? What were you feeling that nobody acknowledged? What did you have to bury to survive? And then, and this is crucial, you give them what they needed. You become the parent you didn't have. You tell them your feelings matter, your needs are valid, you are worthy of love just for existing, not for what you achieve or provide. This isn't metaphorical, this is actual inner child work, and it's one of the most powerful tools for healing emotional neglect. In the next video in this series, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do this. How to identify your inner child's needs, how to speak to them, how to begin the process of reparenting yourself. Fifth, you build a life where your authentic self is welcome. This means examining your relationships, your job, your daily habits, and asking, is there room for the real me here, or am I still performing? You might need to set boundaries with people who only value you for what you provide. You might need to leave relationships that require you to hide parts of yourself. You might need to create space for hobbies, for rest, for joy that isn't productive. This isn't selfish, this is survival. Important reminder, this video is about awareness and prevention. If Robin's story resonates with you, that recognition is actually the first step toward healing. You're not broken, you're wounded, and wounds can heal. Here's what I want you to understand. Robin's story doesn't have to be yours. Yes, we lost her. Yes, it's tragic. Yes, it could have been prevented if she'd had the tools, the awareness, the support to understand what was happening to her. But you're here, you're watching this, you're learning. You have something Robin didn't have. You know what you're dealing with now. This is video number 15 in our emotional neglect series, and if you've made it this far, you're ready for what comes next. In video number 16, I'm going to take you deeper into Robin's actual story, not the version her friends saw. Not the Instagram version, the real one. I'm going to show you the specific mechanism that happened in her perfectly normal family that created this invisible wound. I'm going to tell you about the secret she kept from age 13, the safety net she built that nobody knew about, the hermit mode cycles, and the tiny, seemingly insignificant trigger that became the final straw. Because here's what most people don't understand. The breaking point isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a TV show, a memory, a moment of shame so small that nobody else would even notice it. But when you've been carrying emptiness for decades, when you've been disconnected from yourself for so long, when you've been performing fine every single day, sometimes the smallest thing is enough. Sometimes the weight of one more moment of pretending becomes unbearable. And that's when the unthinkable becomes the only option that makes sense. If you recognized yourself in this video, if you saw Robin's patterns in your own life, I need you to watch video number 16, because understanding how it happens is the first step to making sure it doesn't happen to you. Comment "I see you" below if you're ready to go deeper, not for me, for yourself, and for everyone else watching who feels alone in this. You're not alone. You were never alone. Subscribe so you don't miss video number 16. And remember, the child you buried didn't die. They're still there, still waiting, and this time you get to go back for them.